From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to OpenLine. Glad you're with us tonight. We are talking about elder law. So a chance for you to get some good advice on planning for aging. Perhaps you're caring for a loved one who is aging. This is a chance for you to call in and get some really good advice on wills, on trusts, on all kinds of things. Happy to have with us Chris Johnson. He's an attorney with Takacs, McGinnis, joining us via Zoom from his office up there in Hendersonville. Chris, thank you for being with us.
Ben, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
It is. It's always great to have you on because this is just a chance for people to call in, get some good information. We always like it when people share their stories because others learn from whatever people are going through. But I attempted to define elder law. I think it always helps if you define elder law. How do you define it?
So the way we look at it is people have legal needs, they have financial needs, and they have personal care needs. And those needs are going to change. They're going to evolve over time. And elder care law is attacking all three of those things simultaneously by bringing in the duty experts in each area to make sure that that person is cared for in each of those realms. Because all the legal documents in the world don't mean anything if we're not worried about the financial and if we're not worried about the personal care. And all the personal care in the world isn't great if we can't pay for it, if we don't have the financial and we don't have the legal structure. You need to have all three prongs to make sure your client is well taken care of.
So let's talk about some clients that have come through your door here in the last week or couple of weeks or so. Give us an example. Who's coming through your door here of late?
As of late, I've had someone come in who had a house that was their largest asset, and they wanted to make sure it was protected, not only for themselves, but for their children. After they passed, they wanted to make sure they didn't lose everything trying to pay for their long-term care, and we were able to address that. I've had, actually recently in the last 3 or 4 months, we've had a string of people with special needs children, people who have kids, adult children with disabilities, and they're worried greatly about what's going to happen to my child. How are they going to be taken care of after I pass away? And they're thinking not only financially, they're thinking about care needs, they're thinking about all of those things because they've taken care of their child their entire life. And for a lot of elderly parents, especially elderly parents of adult special needs children, that's a real worry and a real concern. And then I have some people affectionately referred to kind of as the usual suspects. They say, Chris, we're just looking to get our ducks in a row. We know what we want. We're not looking for anything fancy, but we don't have any planning documents in place, and we realize that's probably a blind spot for us, and we need to get that taken care of sooner rather than later. And it always feels good to help people. When they're finished working with us, they are in a much better position. They're taken care of. Those worries have gone away.
How often do you get the kind of client I maybe alluded to at the top, and I think you kind of alluded to it, where it's an adult child that's concerned about their aging parent, and so they come in and they're like, Mom or Dad, they're not doing as well, and I'm worried about what to do, and I'm busy myself, but I want to care for them. This is very important. How does that conversation go, and what are some of the questions you ask?
That's fantastic. When an adult child comes in worried about their parent, to me, the first sign I look for is, did the parent come with them? Because if the parent came with them and they're going to attack this together as a family, we know we're in a great position. Because I have a child who's engaged, who's looking out for the best interest of their parent, and that their parent and the child are communicating well. That is the best circumstance. I just had a signing where we had the adult child and we had the parent in there. Everyone understands, everyone's on the same sheet of music. They understand how the plan's going to work and why we did what we did. Nothing is really better than that. Then you'll have some adult children who are coming in, information gathering. Hey, I'm getting ready to talk to my parent about this, but I want to be educated. I want to be informed before I go broach this, so I don't, open this can of worms and really don't know what the next step is. Also a great person to talk to. The one that you get a little worried about is where they come in and they say, listen, mom or dad refuse to come in here, and I think they'll be like, well, we got to drag them kicking and screaming. I said, well, you can't drag them kicking and screaming. They'd be the client. If we're establishing a plan for them, they'd have to want the plan. They have to be a participant, and they have to be amenable to all of this. You can't make them do this, which catches some adult children, off guard a little bit. They think, well, they have to do it. And I said, well, they have a right to make their own decisions so long as they have capacity and understand what's going on. And everyone has a right to choose. Now, I will tell them I would love to get them in there and have a conversation. It's never a pressure thing. But you do worry about that because that's a sign that the adult child and the parent aren't on the same page. And then you worry, okay, what else is there? But you can work through that stuff, and hopefully you can earn the trust of the individual that we're trying to help and see where it goes. But when you have all the family members working together, pulling on that proverbial rope in the same direction, you're looking at a real good outcome, and that always feels good.
That's very well said. I like the way you said that. And I know you've said before, and you even said it there, that when a child comes in concerned about their parent, the client is the parent. The child may be writing the paying you, but you're working for the parent, right? You're not working for the child. Is that
correct?
Right? Am I right about that?
You're perfect. You're spot on.
And so that's a big deal. And so when you have the parent in there with them, that helps an awful lot.
It helps a huge amount because they're planning together. There's nothing wrong with them, everyone putting their minds together, so long as we know who the final decider is, and the final decider is the client. I talk about when we set up a power of attorney and make one of the kids power of attorney. This is a power of attorney so you can help mom and dad, not so you're the boss of mom and dad. And mom and dad actually like hearing that as well. It reminds them, hey, you're still the parent, you're still the client, you're still in charge.
I like that. All right. I am interested that you said you've had several special needs, I guess parents of special needs children come in. I feel like I am hearing about that more and more. We just had someone on here that did a documentary about caring for children with special needs, all of the responsibilities that go along with that, all of the difficulties that are part of that. And so how does that conversation go? What are the things you're looking for, asking? How does that go when someone in that situation comes in?
Yeah, I think one of the first things I want to know is I want to learn something about the child. I want to know the disability, the extent of it. Are we talking about a physical disability or an intellectual disability, a combination of two? I want to know what their level of independence is. There are some adult special needs children who are very independent, and there are some who are fully independent. It really runs the whole spectrum. I want to know how plugged in the system they are. My favorite adult special needs story, because it did have a happy ending, and it tells you, this is very, we're up here in Sumner County. This happened a little further in eastern Tennessee, but just the resilience of special needs families, of Tennesseans. This family had reached out to an attorney who's a friend of ours out in eastern Tennessee, and they said, hey, we can't take care of our adult special needs child anymore, and we think it's time to get our planning in place, and we just don't want to lose any more time. And so the attorney reached out to us. They knew we kind of specialized in it, to get some guidance and kind of help them, walk them through it. And as we're in the discussions, I said, hey, so how old are mom and dad? And without missing a beat, he said, well, they're 95 and 94. And I about fell out of my chair when they said, well, now's about the time where we can, we need to start addressing this. And and it got addressed, and everything got set up, and we're very thankful for it. But the parents of special needs children are absolutely amazing. And what they do every single day to care for those children, the selflessness of it, how much they sacrifice and how much burden they put on their own shoulders to take the wonderful care of their children that they do. It's beyond admirable. You wish that we all had that capacity for love and compassion. And what happens is sometimes they've done so much, they haven't got themselves plugged in with the resources that are out there in the community. There's the Tennessee DID, Department of Intellectual and Developmentally Disabled Children. And, sometimes Tin Care can be of assistance. Sometimes there's just resources in the community that can help them out, provide some respite care. And these families families take the whole burden on their shoulders. And it's like, listen, I need my family caregivers to be healthy and happy, because that increases their capacity to take care of their child. We all need a break. You know, we all can't go 110% 24 hours a day. And I want to know how many of those resources have they tapped into? And if they haven't tapped into them, I want to get them connected with those things to start kind of taking a little bit of that burden off. And then once we have all of that broken down, then we jump into the planning. What are our goals? What are we looking at for care in the future? And what things do we need to do? What steps do we need to take to ensure the finances are there to care for the children, to ensure that if we need a conservatorship, who's going to be that family member that's going to do that, that we have the appointment language that we want as far as guardianship and the wills. We want to make sure all of that stuff is put together so that that child is as in good a position as they can be. Tomorrow's never promised for any of us, and so you don't know what the future is going to bring, but you can certainly put them in the very best position legally possible.
Wow. And trusts, is that something else that you discuss? We'll talk about trust later, I bet, but that's something else that comes in there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In the planning documents, trusts, especially for adult disabled child, we want to look at a special needs trust for them so that their money is managed typically by a third party. So if they're receiving any government benefits that are means tested, that an inheritance doesn't accidentally disrupt their TIN care benefits or anything else like that, and that it's used to augment to make their life a little bit better. We want to make sure that they are financially stable and that their care is always there. Trust planning is a huge part of that, Ben.
For people who come in, you're also seeing what they might qualify for in the way of some things that may be out there, not just with special needs, but everyone. And a big one is veterans, right? You're looking about maybe a wife comes in and is forgotten or is unaware that she would be eligible because her husband served and that kind of thing. You served, right? You're a veteran.
I did. I'm a retired Marine. And
so this is very important to you, and I guess talk about how you walk through that and you know how you've come to where you are here.
Absolutely. So one of the big reasons I got into the work that I'm doing now is because it gets me out interacting with the veteran community, which means a lot to me. I tell people all the time, in 2014 when I retired and took the uniform off, it feels good to retire. There's no doubt. You kind of break the tape on that, and you've got a career, and the Marine Corps is a great life. It's also a hard life. But one of the things is the minute you take that uniform off, you know, the days and weeks and months and years that I served, when I woke up in the morning, I didn't worry, you know, about what my purpose was in life. It was very clear to me. It was taking care of my Marines, executing our mission, and that felt good. When you hang that up, you lose a little bit of that. You can lose a little bit of a sense of yourself and a sense of purpose. And when you're out in the community giving back to our veteran community who've worn the same uniforms and done the same tasks and made the same sacrifices, you find a little bit of that purpose again, and you find a little bit of that meaning. And so that's one of the best things for me, is to interact. I get to, you know, hear the stories of the World War II veterans and the Korean veterans, and they're amazing. And it may be different eras and different time periods, but if you're a veteran, a lot of the stories are similar. They have lots of parallels, and it's a really great way to connect with that and to help people who have served our country. I don't think there's anything much better than that. That's great, and that's great. You were a Marine, so that's great. Yes. All right, this kind of sets the table. This sets the table for the discussion. And what we'd like now is we're just going to open up the phone lines. If you want to call in, you have a question, you have a situation that you'd like to run by our expert, go ahead. This is your chance. There's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.